He's one of the, or I guess the guy from uploadedfishing.com. We're talking about that on the YouTube channel for a while here, and coming up soon is something I'm going to be taking part in and stuff. Got a really good thing going on, but we're going to take today, and we're going to take a little bit of Shaye's knowledge. Shaye's from Alabama. You guys know that I fish Yatesville Lake a lot. I'm going to get his take using the Angler app today on how he would break down this lake not ever being there. So I'm going to give him the information that I have. We're going to look at some of the trip logs. We're going to look at some of the details of the trip as far as the conditions and stuff, and then we're going to break this thing down. So, Shaye, if you'd like to introduce yourself, be more than happy to.
Hello, everybody. I'm Shaye Baker. That's a pretty good little introduction. Let's get into this trip. Interesting fun fact. Yatesville is the name of your lake, right?
Yes, sir.
The little lake I always fish that is a complete unknown is right below Lake Martin. It's called Yates.
Really?
I don't know why, but when I pulled up your trip, I was like, Yates? What? That's not right.
No.
That's how Yates is. That's pretty cool.
I can almost guarantee you that your lake's better than ours.
I'll be honest with you, we have club tournaments, we have little summer Wednesday night derbies,
Yeah.
And when it gets hot, it'd be like 6 or 7 pounds of wind.
That's about what it is around here. So
it's got big fish in it. It's hard to catch them all the time.
Yeah, our lake gets pressured a ton. I'm sure it's the same way with you on your way there. So it's a lot of deal. It's that we're trying to, we're just trying to beat the fish down. And that's the thing. That's why I'm bringing you in right now. I'm trying to get your outside perspective of a lake that I fish, because I feel like I'm fishing from memory too much. Maybe you and I can break this thing down, try to find some new spots that I've never thought of. So I'll share my screen here really quick for you so you can see it. But just to give you a little bit of I guess breakdown of what we have here. Yatesville Lake is a man-made lake in Louisa, Kentucky. Pretty fairly good sized lake. It gets pressured a lot as far as trips and tournaments and stuff out of. What you're seeing here is the main marina. This is where 90% of everything comes out of here. So actually, if you watch Fishing University ever, they were just on Yatesville Lake this year, which is crazy. People like that never come around, but they were here. They were fishing all in this area here to the left of the boat ramp where all those little marina there is. But
that's the first thing I saw. I was wondering do you skip those?
Well, the issue is you're not allowed to fish them.
What?
Yeah, and they beat them up on that show, man. But like every corner, end of every one of those docks, it says no fishing, and no fishing from docks, no fishing around docks. They got her all posted there. So I think the marina is privately owned, but that was one of the deals there. So that's the thing, man. It's just one of those things where there's been some big fish caught out of there, but I just thought it was funny that it's definitely marked all over the place, and those guys beat it up in there. But
yeah.
So let's just replay the trip here for you. So obviously took off there. I caught one fish right there. There's some rip rap right in there. Pretty steep bank. The dam's right there to the right. And then right here you see myself catch a couple fish in there. Just to break that down for you a little bit, probably a chunk rock bank back in that cove. It's fairly deep, steep bank, probably 12 foot deep all the way back to the end of it, and then it starts obviously shallowing up. Really big bass have been caught in there by myself and a few other people that I know. It's just one of those things that I always do. Running
so right here, I got a question.
All right, got an answer.
Why is that pocket better than the other 2 or 3 pockets right here to the left? Like why didn't you go in those when you left there? You caught 3 fish back there?
Yep, caught 3 fish. To be honest with you, man, these 2 pockets right here, one, they get hammered. 2, they're a lot more shallow than there. Yeah, we're talking, so let's get this is a let's see, let me make sure what date this is, but I'm pretty sure, yeah. So this is August, so that's another thing you got to keep in mind. So, we're talking 75, 80 degree water temperature at least.
Yeah.
It's a little deeper, a lot of rocks in there, but yeah, I've fished in there, but I don't know if you can see it here. Let's see if I can zoom in here a little
bit on the left there.
So you can see where you see the boat there hanging out. There's an actual tree that's fallen that's kind of slipped off into the water, and from about where that boat right there at is back, it's like probably 3 or 4 foot or less back in there. You can definitely see it gets shallow back in there, but we've caught some big fish out of that cove. But normally right here where this beach kind of starts, it's kind of misleading there. That looks like a beach, but it's really like shell rock comes off there. But to be honest with you, that's what I said. I feel like that I fish from memory too much because I've caught more fish out of those coves than I have anywhere else. But
Well, you said it's like August. Y'all have the brim spawn up there. Y'all got a bunch of brim and bluegill.
Yes, we do.
That's my favorite thing, dude. When it gets hot, I'll fish like shallow where the brim are spawning,
Yeah.
and throw. I used to throw like a popper and stuff. Now you sling it whopper plopper till your arm falls off, or a big wooden rat too. I've caught some good ones around brim beds on those. But do they ever spawn like? What did you catch those fish on in that other pocket?
Actually flipping and pitching, probably if I were to guess, 9 times out of 10, probably a KVD rodent. One of the 4-inch versions, just pitched on a swing head, or either that, or just straight Texas rigged with a tungsten weight.
Gotcha.
Some of the best fishing I've done on this lake ever is really deep cranking, and I'll show you some spots here in just a second about that. But normally I've done the best pitching and stuff there. So if we go on around, you think that this lake is kind of really weird how it's laid out, because you have like these 2 coves that you see right here, right behind where the marker's at. Those coves right there look really good, but it is extremely deep there. That's one of the deepest places on the actual lake. Like that small little point that comes out there right off of that's like 35 to 40 foot deep. Which is pretty crazy. So
it's a fairly deep lake in general, like where the cursor is or where the boat is right now. Is it about what, 20-25 feet?
Yeah, probably in the channel there. The deepest you're going to see on this lake, like I said, is about 30-35 foot, and that's like right in the channel swings on a really deep straight drop off point. Again, this is a man-made lake. It's Army Corps of Engineers. They just dammed up a bunch of big hollows and let it fill up with water. So this point right here we're getting ready to pass is pretty. Pause this so I can zoom out a little bit. It's pretty shallow around through there. So this little creek right here that I didn't go up in, this is Greenbrier Creek. One of my favorite places to fish on this entire lake is back in here. There's some. This is a campground. And these little finger cuts going back in here are phenomenal at certain times, but it's weird because again, it feels like that I always search for deeper drop-off banks, especially when it's summer like this, which you think would be different because you think they're going to be deep, but it just seems like they kind of do their own thing. I guess that's why they call it fishing and not catching.
Well, it was Elite Series pro. Now he's an MLF pro. But Greg Vincent, I grew up with him. He fished in my little club. I mean, our club's got like 20 members, and he happened to be one of them. But he actually got a degree in marine biology.
Yeah.
And I did an article with him a long time ago about thermocline and how it pushes deeper and deeper, And at a certain point, there's like a tipping point where fish get tired of like 25 foot of pressure on top of them, and some of them just run back up, which fish stay shallow year round. But there's like a point in the summer where a lot of fish will come back up and just as soon get in shade. And once he told me that, I started really looking for stuff like that in August and, September when it was the hottest out here. And, I mean, I catch some big ones. So you ever fish that way on this lake? Do you ever try to come up and just hit all these shallow pockets? Like what I found, too, is the best time of day is like 10 to 2 when it's the hottest. And the shade gets tighter, as it gets to about 10 o'clock, it starts to get tighter to one bank, and it kind of positions the fish almost like fishing, targets or structure or whatever, but it's just like a couple of foot of shade. And then that bank gets sun on it, and the bank across the way starts getting a little bit of shade. And about 2 o'clock, the shade's kind of too far out off the bank, so it kind of widens the target area. Mm-hmm. But do you ever fish like that? Do you ever throw a topwater in the heat of the summer here?
To be honest with you, man, I don't. That's something that that's why I'm bringing you in here. I need an outside perspective, because the issue is in the summertime when it gets hot, I just get crushed on this lake, and you could be right, because I have this mentality of if they're not deep, I'm not catching them, which is obviously not the thing. So you're talking about getting up in what, 8 foot or less, throwing some kind of like a popper. Or,
Yeah, like all these little cuts and stuff. If they're shallow, what we'll see on our lakes around here, and I'll bring up one of my lakes sometimes. Can I can show you like the same stuff, but like all these little cuts, any of these cuts right off the river that come up shallow and have a flat in the back.
Yeah.
Around here in Alabama, like the brim will go up and spawn in the backs of those cuts, and I mean they'll be in, every one of them sometimes, and sometimes they're in 3 or 4 on a certain stretch of the lake. But in the heat of the summer, they'll get up in there, and I mean, like I said, you'll throw up there in a foot of water, and they'll come smoke it from 15 feet away as they see it coming.
Yeah.
It's but the thing is, most of the time you've got to fish like 20 pockets to get 3 or 4 bites. So it's kind of a cover in water kind of deal, and that's what the whopper plopper. That's why it's so awesome. Like you used to have to fish kind of slow to do that because you couldn't fish anything effectively fast. But then the whopper plopper came out, man. And you can cover some water. And you see it on like Ouachita and see Randall Tharp a few years ago. I was covering a Forestwood Cup, and he was throwing that Brian's B little twitch prop type top water.
Yeah, I saw KVD throwing that yesterday in his round on the Bass Pro Tour thing.
Yeah, so he came in second to Scott Martin that year, and that was in August, and it was just brutally hot. In Arkansas it was like 90s, and water temp was up to 90s or right at it. So it'd be interesting to see in the summer, which I mean that's a long time from now, but it'd be interesting to see if you can catch them like that and just go out there one day and don't have another rod on deck. Just put a top water on deck, hit 50 pockets, and see what happens.
Yeah, they do catch them on top water, man. There's been several times where I've been, I know guys that throw top water 99% of the time just crush them. So I guess let me ask you a question here. Other than trying to get up in the shallow pockets and, and again, we're talking about summertime here because I could usually catch them in the springtime and in the fall, but the summertime is when it eludes me. So I'll continue on here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I think we had this conversation on the phone a little while ago about a pocket here that I fish. There's a couple pockets here. So right here where the boat's coming in, and you can actually see it, I think. There's a lot of submerged timber right here in this little V pocket, but right here when you go past this are 2 of my favorite coves that I've caught. And I think you were talking about a while ago. So I caught a couple fish here. Caught one back in the back here, and then I run back around because I think it was the end of the tournament day, or I was heading around to Greenbrier, I think. But right here, where I caught this fish, it's probably it's pretty steep right there in that little drop off. It's probably 12 to 15 foot where that catch marker's at. But right around that point, on the left hand side of the lake there, for the next 75, 80 yards is another one of those deep spots, like 40 foot plus there, just a sheer rock face. How do you catch fish suspended there in the summertime?
Oh man, I'm not really good with suspended fish. That's why, you were saying, kind of your strengths go deep and deep crank. Mine's go shallow, so usually I would just beat up every shallow pocket, but a light drop shot, if they're not suspended real far off the bottom, if they're like, 10 feet off the bottom, sometimes you can get them to follow a light drop shot all the way down. I don't know if a spy bait would be the deal or like a little Kitech swim bait. But I mean, you're going to have to count those things down a lot if it's 40 foot deep there.
Yeah, I often thought I don't know to own too many of them. Actually, probably 0 of them. But I just thought maybe one of those big Magnum spoons, vertical jigging it on that stuff that's really deep might have a chance to kill them. Because one thing that I've noticed in this lake that's different than normal is somebody or something, or maybe it's a DNR or a bird or something, has introduced a lot more shad into this lake than ever before, and it could be due to the spawn shads doing, or the shad spawn doing really well for year to year, but like literally this lake is absolutely alive with shad right now, and that's different in the past 5 years. Like the past year and a half, like last year was phenomenal. Like you threw anything that even remotely resembled a shad and it was over. Like you were catching them, and it was so crazy. Maybe that's something to do with it, but I was thinking that spoon might have a little better shot there. But then you're right on it when you said you'd have to count it down forever.
Have you seen fish on the graph and like bait on the graph right there? And it's got you trying to figure out how to catch them, or
Yeah, I've seen some fish suspended there. I'm throwing everything, and again, you know what I mean. I mean, they're decent sized fish on the graph. I don't think they're crappie or brim. They could. As far as I know, there's no like striper or hybrids in there. You know, there's some kind of sport fish. They could be catfish up in there suspended. I've yet to catch anything off that point or off those points there, but I've seen people catch them. I've literally been on the point in the cove here where I've caught this fish and watched people catch them. But you know, that was in one of those days where you know you pretty much could catch them anywhere.
is it a fairly clear lake?
Most of the time, yes. We're heading up the the creek channel. Yeah, the creek channel here. So this is all creek fed. And the farther you go up through here, obviously, the more shallow it's going to get. In the winter time, you get into winter pool and all that stuff, and you're getting to a point. There's a certain point up in here that in winter pool you're not even getting to. There's another boat ramp right here called Rich Creek, and during winter pool you can't even put your boat here in Rich Creek because it's so low. But I've caught a lot of fish back in here, but the issue is right now the graphs on my boat are not as good as I'd like, so I'm in the process of trying to get I'm trying to do as much research as I can on graphs more than anything. I've got my eye on the Garmin live scope and stuff, but I'm a Humminbird guy. I've used Humminbird forever. I have Humminbird on my boat now, but I'm trying to upgrade because right now I don't feel with the graphs I have now that I'm comfortable running in water that's less than 8 foot deep. So, yeah. But back in
this sometime. I got raised by my daddy, who to this day barely has a graph, and he always used a flasher, and that's what he preferred to have still. But he loves to fish shallow.
Yeah.
And we run flats on that little lake down there. Every tournament we fish, I mean, we'll run a flat where you know what a flasher is.
Yeah. I used to have one on my old boat. Basically, like the same thing you guys use for ice.
Yeah, it's got the little dial or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day we'd be running, and all you'll see is a little, here's 0, and down here's 20 foot deep or whatever.
Yeah.
All you is whoop, and it just be a solid line with 0 when we'd hit that flat. Yeah. And you're basically just throwing silt up if you look back. I mean, it's just mud.
Yeah, I got a similar situation, except we were just a lot more dumb than that. Me and my buddy Kyle were fishing, same deal. The only thing I had was a flasher, and we were back in this cove back in a creek channel in one of these lakes around here, and we were just hauling rear end, man. Finally get around there, and as soon as I set her down, it was just like instantly stuck, like wham. Yeah. So we
you can't stop on them, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was out my skivvies there, pushing myself off a sandbar, which is not fun, especially it was like March when I was doing that, but it's great.
Yeah, the best is when you do that on a silt deal, and then it sucks the boat to it. And if you sink down to your like waist because it's just mush, Yeah, that's miserable.
Yeah, it is miserable. So if you were looking at this lake from an outside perspective, again, it's fairly clear. It's not super shallow. There are some shallow spots. Let's just change the time of the year. So you talked about springtime or summertime when it's really hot. You'd get up in some of the shallows and throw some in the top water stuff. What about let's just say that it's one of the first tournaments of the year. We don't have ice around here. That's one thing. You guys don't have to deal with ice in Alabama, obviously, but we don't. It gets cold enough. I know how you feel about that, right? But it gets cold enough here to keep you off of the water, but it doesn't get cold enough to ice, which is kind of sucks, but it isn't that bad. But if you're talking about like first tournament of the year is probably going to be second, third week of April here, probably air temperature of, I don't know, probably, it could range anywhere from 45 degrees to 65 degrees, depending on the year.
Water kind of pre-spawn. They're getting up there.
Yeah.
When do they spawn for you? About May?
Usually, yeah.
Yeah. Zoom out a little bit. One of the quick things I was going to mention, like you showed that little boat ramp a while ago, do y'all have culverts, little pipes and stuff that go under some of these roads?
I'm trying to think. On this lake, there's one I know of, and that's right here, actually, where I caught this fish right here. There's a culvert. You can see it. You can see it right here. I will say yes and no, depending on what boat number I draw. Because normally that's you take off there. It's usually the number one boat stops there and hits that.
Yeah,
But
that's what I was gonna say. Like those are little cheap spots. I love those. I fished a tournament, college national championship on Fort Loudon, and that's where the classic's going this year. And they had a ton of culverts like that. And man, I had a pattern going at one point where I just ran culverts. I would just run from culvert to culvert to culvert, and you catch them. But they're also obviously like give me spots. So if somebody's in the area, they're going to go ahead and fish it. But not many people would just actually run culverts, Yeah. So if you go ahead and do that first thing before somebody just happens to be in the area and hits it, you can kind of catch a bunch of easy fish. And then what's cool about culverts too is if you go back and retrace your steps, fish come and go very quickly,
Yeah.
And they can kind of reload. But it just depends on, like, one good thing is run way away from launch and then start doing it way off, Yeah. Like I said, it's close to launch right there. It's usually going to get hit pretty quick.
All right, so one of my favorite ways to catch them in the springtime is a lipless crankbait. What's your favorite?
Probably either it's all the same. I fish it all the same, but it'll either be a square bill, a chatterbait, or a spinnerbait. And one thing I was going to ask you about, so that time of year, do y'all have a creek that gets pretty stained, pretty muddy?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it just depends. Like if we get we've had some of the wettest weather I've ever seen around here in the past couple of years, and it doesn't just sprinkle. I mean, when it comes down, they're toad stranglers, man. It's like one of those deals where, and coming back to the muddy thing, the next day after that, as long as you don't run like as far as Rich Creek, you're going to be okay. But as it goes on and comes down the creek more, within 2 or 3 days, it could be. I've seen it where it looks like flood stage water, like it's just pure freaking chocolate.
Yeah, I like to fish mud. I love fishing muddy water. But I found that if you fish a place that's usually muddy versus a place that's clear and gets muddy, it's much better. Like I don't like fishing a typically clear spot that just gets muddy. I want it to be kind of stained and muddy all the time, and I think the fish are much more used to it and able to hunt in it, versus, like you said, if you were to run up this river on a normal day, it's fairly clear, and then you get a rain that's muddy. I don't like that so much. But what I like to do that time of year, kind of right pre-spawn, they're up shallow. I like to go and throw a square bill, spinnerbait, or chatterbait right down wood, any kind of lay down stumps, whatever, and scrape the bark off of it. That's how my daddy says it. He's the one that taught me everything I know about shallow fishing to start with. So I just like to get it right against, and if it's still kind of cold, if the water temperature is still kind of cold, you got to make multiple casts a lot of times. Don't just throw up there and move on, But I've caught fish. I actually caught fish in a little video on YouTube a few years ago where I was trying to catch a fish on repetitive casts because it was so cold. I said, it'd be cool to go out and see if I can get this on camera. And I threw it like one little tree 5 times with a square bill, and it bit on the 5th time. It was like 4.5 pounder. But a lot of people just cast and move on, fish too fast when the water's still pretty cold. So that's the way I like to do it. I like to just fish shallow wood that time of year, right at the spawn, right pre-spawn, and they're trying to eat big baits. If it's muddy, I'll throw a double Colorado spinnerbait or a big willow leaf, like a number 6 with a little Colorado blade, and then either a chatterbait or a chartreuse and black square bill.
Nice. Did you see the last Bassmaster Open there where the fella named Whitney Stevens won it last week down at Harris Chain Lakes? Yeah,
I didn't keep up with it too much, but I did see where he won. He won an Open a few years ago too, and fished a classic.
Yeah, he's from about 35 miles from my house, and the spinnerbait he won that on was from my local tackle shack I'm telling you about, the tackle box.
That's cool.
Pretty cool stuff. So yeah, one thing about springtime fishing is that so one other thing I want to get your opinion on, and I'll let you hop off here. But what's your take on scents on baits? Like my favorite is JB's fish sauce. I know a lot of people have other opinions of stuff they use, but do you think scent on baits helps, hurts, or kind of either or?
I think, and this is just my opinion, but I think, well, it's a fact on part of it. Like 95% of bass fishing is about confidence. If you got confidence in something, it will work. But I think personally that like the hydro wave and sense and a lot of this different stuff is a confidence thing. So does it matter if that's the only reason you got to bite, or if it's giving you confidence while you're fishing, go with it. You know what I mean? Like my dad got a hydro wave, loves it, won't run without it now, won't fish without it. And he fishes in 2 feet of water and he's throwing at a stump 20 foot from the boat. And I'm like, Daddy, what sense does it make to have a hydro wave on that's going to draw a fish off a stump to your trolling motor in 2 foot of water? I get like hydro wave makes more sense to me out on the ledge, trying to activate a school, fire up bait fish, get things moving. But my thing is like, it's not, he caught a ton of fish before it came out, but now he fully believes he can't get a bite without it on. So like I'll turn it off sometimes just to mess with it when I'm in his boat. And he'll fish along and he'll catch a big one. He's like, I told you the hydro wave's the deal. And I'm like, Daddy, it's been off for 2 hours. He goes, no, man, I didn't know tell him what we could have caught if it had been on this whole time. But like, that's the way I feel about scents. It's like, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it probably helps. I hardly ever fish a bait slow enough for a fish to smell it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless they like follow the trail or something. But most of the time I'm fishing like on a spinner bait or something like that. I think it would be hard for a fish to catch that scent trail and chase it down more than he could just feel the blade or whatever, you know.
Yeah, I got you there. So looking there behind you, not grouper status or nothing, but you got is that a Mavic Pro back there?
Yeah. Yeah. I finally got into the drone game, and that's Ben Nowak, one of our buddies. I asked him what.
I know Ben pretty well, yeah. I just now picked up a Mavic Pro or Mavic 2 Zoom, which I'm absolutely in love with. The thing is amazing.
Is that the little one?
That's the same one you got there, except it's the newer version. It's a Mavic 2, and instead of being the Pro, it's got a zoom lens on it. It's a Mavic 2 zoom, so it does a 2x zoom on it. It's from like 24 millimeter to 48 millimeter, which it doesn't seem like that much.
It's a lot,
especially when you got that 300 millimeter Canon L back there.
I don't know that, but that's a lot whenever you think about a drone, though, because the drones, like I've never done that. You know, you kind of end up way back, but. They got, it seems like Mavic came out with like a little compact drone now too. What's it called?
It's called the Spark.
Yeah, that's it. Have you seen anything with it?
Yeah, I was going to buy it, and then I didn't like the idea. You know, it's fairly inexpensive. I think it's like $399, $499, but you have to buy the controller with it, and I just, you know, and the camera wasn't that good, so I like the idea of having the GPS features and stuff with the Mavic, so I went with it. It's way more expensive, but I'm glad about it.
That one's done an upside down crash landing in a green field before.
Nice.
Yeah. I put it up in the air on the little farm where I work. I say a little farm, but I work for a guy that owns like 2,000 acres, and I go over there and farm where we go plant green fields and stuff like that for him. But I wanted to get some aerials of some of the green fields and stuff, so I was going to do this cool reveal shot where I was down in this real tight green field, and I'm just going to shoot up, you know. And I did so, and it was cool. And I had like 20% battery when I started this little cool thing. But then when I got up, I'm in the middle of like 25, 30 foot tall trees in this little green field. I get up in the air, and apparently it was blowing like 15 to 20, and I wasn't thinking about that. But once that drone got up above the tree line, I was like, I'm looking at my phone, I'm looking up, I'm like, uh-oh. And I can't find it. And my green field's so small, I can't find it on the viewfinder. And of course, as soon as it gets up out of sight, it's like battery almost dead. And I'm like, oh no. So I just start zooming around. There's this big creek out there, and I'm like, I can't tell which side of the creek I'm on, if I'm on the right side or not. Long story short, I find a green field. I don't even know if it's ours. I head that way because it's like I'm landing. The drone was like, I'm landing. It's over. I got 1% battery left. We're coming down. And I just pointed to that green field, and it landed, like crashed, but I lost connection once it got between me and the trees, or it got on the other side of like me and a bunch of trees, kind of got low, and I lost my screen, and I was like, I have no idea where it's at. So I just went and ran. We got like 12 green fields. It's right at dark. My phone's also about to die. I got like 3% battery. Very unprepared situation.
That's the way it usually goes, right?
I'm not a very good drone pilot, but I am pilot who has crashed a Mavic Pro upside down in the green field. But I found it, and it had like grass stains all over it. Not like a little grass spring. It had green grass stains across it, you know, where it hit hard. I was like, it's never going to work.
Yeah.
But it was great.
Yeah, I
So,
love it. I love mine, and like I said, where I'm a high school teacher, I get to fly all the cool drones that kids bring in for after Christmas and stuff, and those things right there make you want to be a drone pilot because they pretty much fly themselves. And I can't wait to get mine out in the boat to try to create some really cool shots this year. And that's one cool thing about I like being a content creator is the fact that I like to see the artistic side of what I can do. Fishing is fun for me. It's amazing. I love it. I would fish every day if I could, but it's all about creating this story while I'm fishing, and it's really tough to do as a one person deal, and you know how that goes.
yeah, and that's what we started with Uploaded. I mean, that's an online fishing series, right? So with Uploaded, it's about the production more so than it is the size of the fish. I mean, we don't weigh the fish. You can if you want to, but it doesn't matter. A 5-pounder doesn't need a 415. It's just about the production quality, and if you do have some drone footage, and you do have this, that, or the other. So that's kind of what we started with Uploaded Fishing.
Yeah, so I have your website pulled up here, and like I said, guys, just so you guys know what this is basically like for correct me if I'm wrong here, Shay, but it's just like it says there, online fishing series. So it's basically like an online video tournament. You create there's two different divisions, pro and amateur. Amateur just means that it's not edited, right? You can just have to show the catch.
Yeah, it's just a one-shot deal. No music. It gives somebody, like you said, that is kind of doesn't have a lot of editing skills or doesn't want to try to fly a drone and do all this other stuff. Like the pro side, you can do anything goes with exception of copyright protected music unless you have a license.
Yeah.
And the other side, the amateur side, is just a one-shot deal, cast to catch, one continuous video, no edits, no cuts, no music, no anything. And it can be filmed from a drone if you happen to have a drone flying when you caught one, but it's just a one video clip deal.
Yeah. So, and the pro division is pretty much anything goes, right? As long as you have like cast to catch, all one deal there. Is that how I read it?
Yeah, and I mean you can mix, you can cut like 2 or 3 cameras in on the cast to catch, and as long as it's pretty obvious that it was legit, Yeah. Main thing, we don't want people kind of faking a catch because you got to use a certain product to catch the fish. Yeah. That's how our tournaments are set up. So it'd be the best fish catch on a rattle trap, best fish catch on a missile baits jig or a missile jig or whatever, each best fish catch from a certain kayak, whatever, it's product based. And the idea kind of spawned from, you have these rattle trap only tournaments on Guntersville and they get big crowds, but they're geographically based, they're time restricted, and I mean, you got to have money to go do that versus what we started. You can fish anywhere in the country. You got to buy a rattle trap if that's the product of the week, and you can do it throughout the course of a month, or the product for the month, and you can do it throughout the course of the month. So if you can't go fishing on a particular Saturday that a normal tournament would be, and you don't want to drive 4 hours to where that tournament, blah, 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 now you can just go to the pond in your backyard with one bait anytime during that month and catch you a fish and enter a tournament,
Yeah. So, so if it could be filmed on pretty much anything: GoPro, iPhone, Android, whatever. As long, especially in the amateur division, is this something that they post on YouTube? Share the link with you guys, or how does that work?
No, we got an upload process, and the only thing we ask for it to at least be 720, and which I mean most phones shooting that and everything nowadays, but. You just go to the website. Once the contest is up, the home page of the website will have upload here, and you just click the button, and it gives you like a form that you have to allow us to use the footage, Yeah. And after that, you upload it. It just pulls up, and it uploads to our site.
I got you. So once you upload the stuff, it's then anybody can get in there and vote, so you can share it on all your favorite social media pages, try to drive more people to your video, and then most votes for that month wins. Is that how it works?
Yeah, the first year we did it, it was public vote only, and that kind of worried us because if you have somebody with a big audience and a bad video, which we didn't have, we had 2 good videos at the top, and we want people to kind of campaign for votes, so we want some aspect of public voting. But we don't want it to be just ruled by that, because what's going to happen if you do that year after year, eventually there's going to be a subpar video from a guy that's got a huge following that beats a really good video from a guy with a small following. So
Yep.
we didn't want to do that. So we started Uploaded Fishing Panel, which is basically just a few of us that go in and kind of, that's 70% of the determining factor, and then 30% is public vote. So we kind of go in and we grade them based on the quality of the edit, the multiple points of view, if it's a pro one, the product use, cast to catch, all that kind of stuff that basically in our mind makes a good video. We lay out on the site what a good video is for us, and then we grade it that way. And then what that does, it just kind of moves the better videos to the top, and then that 30% public vote still has the power to determine which of the better videos wins. You know what I mean?
I got you. Yes, that makes sense. So, when are you guys looking to have the new rules and stuff up? I know you said you kind of guys are in a rebuilding stage this year. You guys are. So I mean, like, when will this thing start for the 2019 season?
Hopefully April. That's what we're thinking. We want to kick it off in April. And if we do it like we've done in the past, we're just going to do monthly contests. We've also kicked around the idea of just opening up several contests for the whole year with several products. But it seems better for people to come on and do something in April and something different in May, something different. Versus if you do it for the whole year and there's like 8 different categories, it kind of be something people wait till the last minute and they miss out on good fishing times.
Yeah, and plus you got to wait all year and see who won. Which I know there's a video of the year and stuff too, which you're still in. But it's nice if you, like you said, you go out and you fish with a rattle trap and you catch an 8-pounder or whatever, and you make a really cool edit. You don't want to wait until December to find out what's up with that. I wouldn't think.
Yeah, and we thought about too breaking it up. So the first year it was just everybody submitted to the same division basically. So then we added pro and amateur, and we think that's helped some. But we're thinking about doing like a pro division where anything goes, an amateur division where it's a one-shot deal, and then have like a kayak division from the boat division from the bank division where you're even more kind of grouped in people that have equal opportunity at building a cool video. Like it's hard for a guy from the bank. You can make a better video from the bank than a guy could from the boat, but you just have a lot more things that you can do from a boat. You can do running shots and do all this different stuff. So it might be better to have, and we like feedback. I mean, if you got an opinion, let us know, but it might be better to have these different categories, and still have like best fish catch on the rattle trap, but across different subcategories, like from a kayak, best fish catch with a rattle trap from the bank, from the boat, whatever.
Yep. Makes sense, brother. Like I said, I'm in this year, so definitely I'll do what I can to help you out. I'm pumped up to be about it. And like I said, I told you before, I felt like that I was outgunned, to be honest with you. But now that I've talked to you about it, I feel like that, everybody should have a chance to get in there because there's something for everybody, and you don't have to worry about, it's not like you're going out fishing against KVD. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all about you doing your thing and making the best story out of it. I mean, because in the grand scheme of things, you just think about videography. A lot of times it's just about art. So what you like in art may be different than what I do. So that's the cool thing about it.
What's cool about this series is you can beat Kevin Van Dam because if a good editor comes in, I mean, his product will beat what Van Dam put together by himself. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's one of the rules. Like you have to edit your own video. You can have somebody help shoot it. Like if you want somebody to fly a drone for you or shoot a secondary camera or something, but you have to edit it yourself.
I got you, yeah. And that's one thing I'm pumped up about to be a part of because I do everything myself. A lot of times I'm running 4 GoPros on my boat at once, flying a drone and fishing all at the same time. So it gets pretty wild.
Yeah.
But I got some pretty cool shots in mind. Hopefully, when you guys get the products and all the stuff out, I'm definitely in. We'll see what we can do, man. Maybe here before long I'll be down there in Alabama and we'll get in a boat and go catch some freaking swamp donkeys or something.
That'll work.
All right, Shay, I appreciate it, brother. So thanks for being a part of On Other Line tonight, and we'll catch you around, brother.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
See you, buddy.